Look, it's not new to hear that a politician has been bolstering their resume, but I think the examples in this case are more extreme than you generally hear, especially from somebody who is just getting elected and going into it. What do you think about the situation?
Well, I think it's an opportunity for Mr. McCarthy, Congressman McCarthy, to show some leadership. And I think if there's one thing this nation needs right now, it's some leaders. People who, at least in the Republican Party, stand up for fiscal responsibility, stand up for strong ethics, and have a good moral compass. And so I think Mr. McCarthy should call the gentleman in and say, listen, time to resign, time to move on. And it would give definition to his leadership as Speaker. And I think it would give the American people a feeling, well, finally we got somebody who's going to be running a major element of our government who has a strong moral compass and hopefully will be fiscally responsible.
Do you think that's likely? We haven't heard much from him yet.
Doesn't appear it is. You know, the margin is obviously small, and I'm sure they're worried about that. But how you become Speaker, I think, is more important. And if you become Speaker by tolerating this type of ethical lapse, this type of moral lapse, you're not going to be a very good Speaker. You're not going to give the country the type of leadership it needs. So I think he takes the risk myself. It would be a profile in courage. It's a risk, yes, but it's a risk worth taking if he wants to define his leadership in a way that will resonate with the American people and that the American people are thirsting for. We really don't have any leaders now. I mean, Henry Kissinger even said that. He's been around for a long time and knows a lot of things.
Yeah. Heidi, Tulsi Gabbard took him apart, Santos, Congressman-elect Santos, in a Fox News interview that she did. I mean, she pointed out before she started that these sort of resume brandishing things are not unique to Santos. They're not unique to anybody. She talked about some brandishing that's been done, some lies that have been told from Democrats that are out there, too. But this is incredibly extreme. This guy claiming that he has Jewish heritage and now saying, oh, I meant Jew-ish, you know, with a hyphen between them on some of these things. It's kind of crazy watching this. And I guess it is surprising to not see more backlash to it just yet.
You know, what's amazing is that the Democratic Party wasn't able to get any traction. Democratic Party knew that this was true and that he was embellishing. His resume at least had some questions to be answered, but probably the most significant part isn't lying about whether he worked for Goldman Sachs or Citibank. It's where did the $700,000 come from? And I think that's a question that I could not agree with the governor more. This is a pivotal moment for the GOP House leadership. How they respond is going to define that speakership and define that leadership. Here's a chance to move away from chaos, corruption, and say, we will not abide by this in our caucus. You know, if they don't do that, I will tell you, they will continue to be defined in their leadership by chaos, by corruption, by an inability to control their own members, even though their members do horrific things.
But you know what? This is not just the Republicans. I think the reason the Democrats weren't able to get any traction is because they've got enough of a pox on their own house. This is a situation where people say, yeah, politicians lie. We're kind of used to it because we've gotten it from both sides for so long, and it's ridiculous. If there's really going to be a cleanup, don't you think everybody needs to take a close look at their house and say, hold on a second, we need to call out anybody who's been lying about stuff?
Oh, I absolutely agree, Becky. But the problem is that this has stepped over a line from embellishment on whether you were top in your class. I mean, Herschel Walker was another great example of a resume that just was not true, but yet it was exposed in the media and people had a chance to judge whether that was a defining or a disqualifying factor. And so to me, if there is consequences for this young man, then that will send a message to every candidate coming into the next election that you better be careful with your resume because there's going to be consequences. If there aren't consequences, we have a continuation of the Herschel Walker, Donald Trump, Santos kind of everything goes. I can say whatever I want, and it doesn't matter as long as I have the right initial behind my name.